Hi, I'm Keegan, and I'm your host of Engineers and Automation. On today's episode, we're going to be talking with Brennen Dugger. He's the president of Blue Collar Automation. We're going to talk a little bit about why he started his company. We're going to talk about quickly growing his business. We're also going to touch base on some of the likes about the automation industry that he has. Now, let's go talk automation. All right, and welcome to today's episode. Today, I've got Brennen Dugger. He's the president of Blue Collar Automation. Brennen, welcome to today's show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Keegan.
Yeah, of course. And let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Can you give everybody a little bit of background about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm an automation engineer. We're based out of Memphis, Tennessee, and we started Blue Collar Automation actually 2 years ago yesterday. And we've been
Wow,
hitting the ground running.
congratulations and happy birthday then.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that actually that today's the 12th. Yeah, so 2 years ago I couldn't find a job in Memphis that I liked. And so I started up Blue Collar Automation. I've been traveling the country ever since. I'm in good old where am I at right now? Constantine, Michigan.
Okay, yeah. So you're in my home state, so welcome.
Yeah.
And then let's just touch a little bit on your background. How did you get into the automation industry? It sounds like your background's in controls, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Backgrounds in controls and PLC programming. So I got into it by kind of being forced by my dad.
Oh wow.
When I was originally enrolling in college, I wanted to um, be an electrical and well, backing up, I wanted to be a DNR officer when I first went into college, and then I realized it was a tough field to get into, and so I enrolled in electrical engineering because my dad is an electrician, and so he was always just saying like how he wished he could have went beyond the electrician portion and understood what these guys were doing. So I went double E, miserable, hated it, so bored. I dropped out of college and I apprenticed as an electrician at my dad's factory, and that's when I ended up meeting a couple of people who did PLC programming. And he's like, "Yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I wanted you to do." And I was like, "Well, wrong bachelor's degree because double E sucked." And so I reached out to the university and I enrolled like 2 weeks late into the electrical engineering technology program at Purdue, Indianapolis, IUPUI. And I just had a good professor named Joe Tabus who kind of pointed me in the direction and helped me kind of find my path. And once I took my first PLC class, it was over. It's what I
Cool.
wanted to do.
Yeah, good for you. And then it sounds like you worked a little bit um for a company or for maybe a few companies before jumping on and starting your own company here 2 years ago.
Yeah. So in college, I took 5 years to graduate because I missed a class. It was only offered in the fall. So I was working at a process company called Ace Technologies in Indianapolis. I worked there full time my whole senior year as an engineer. So I was doing projects for them. And then I went to a career fair and I met the guys at JR Automation, and the process stuff kind of bored me. So I was like, well, let's see if I can get a job here and move to Michigan and see what happens. And so I ended up getting a job at JR up in Michigan, and I worked there for 2 years, and then got homesick, moved back to Indianapolis to work for Rockwell, and then girlfriend got a PhD position in Memphis, so I moved down there. Um, Worked for a company that built package sorters for FedEx. Got tired of traveling. Then I worked for a manufacturer. Got tired of working there, and then I started this.
Yeah, good for you and congratulations. And I guess let me ask this, what was the catalyst that made you decide, hey, I want to be a business owner and start my own company?
Yeah, funny enough, I actually never wanted to own a business. I would have argued with you 3 years ago that running a business like this is stupid. And if you catch me on the right day, I might still tell you it's stupid. But the catalyst was my good friend and mechanical engineer now, Tim Hayden. He owns Hayden Automation, and he was a lead design engineer at JR for like 6 years. And he was the one that kept telling me it was a good idea, good idea, good idea, good idea. I was like, nah. And then once I started to dislike my plant job just due to the environment, um, I started talking to him more, and I'm like, this might be a good idea. And then we just kind of had a deal where I was going to go out on my own. He was going to do all my mechanical design. I was going to do all his controls, and he kind of talked me into it. But also in Memphis, there's not a whole lot of engineering companies to work at. There's not a lot of manufacturing there. And so there's one really big one there, but what they did didn't really interest me that much. And so I kind of just wanted the freedom to design my own projects because as a controls engineer, once you're a yes man at a company, you get handed all the fires. And I just knew that if I went and worked for another big company, I would do good on one or two projects and I'd be on the road forever. And
Yeah.
so I just decided to call up my old employer, see if they needed a contractor, and they did. And I went and worked for them for a month. And that's kind of what started it. Was
Oh, cool.
I saw that there was an opportunity to actually do it because right, that's the hardest part is when you start it, how are you going to make money?
Yeah.
It is not as easy to find jobs as I thought. And so it took a lot of kind of figuring out how to network and reaching out to old connections to make it work. But I don't really know what the full catalyst was. I think it was just looking for a job that interests me at
Yeah. Yeah.
the end of the day.
And it definitely, I'm sure, as I know as well, being a business owner, it keeps you on your toes, and every
Oh, dude,
day is definitely interesting.
it's definitely given me the ability to own all of my own problems. There's no finger pointing when you own
Yeah.
a company, which I never really did before. But it's a hard kick in the stomach when you make mistakes and you own the company because guess who has to fix them? You.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. Let me ask this. It sounds like your background's obviously in controls. Is that your main focus, PLC programming?
No. So in the beginning it was, yes. But now we've been building full machines for over a year now. So my main focus is a little bit of everything, but mostly PLC programming, electrical design, and robot programming. As we got over here, I mean, you can kind of see this panel in the back. It's a 72 2-inch panel controlling two KUKA robots, two vision systems, two HMIs. So we're kind of getting into all of it. But I'd say the core is we're trying to do small robotic cells, and we do a lot of upgrades and retrofits, which I've been really enjoying recently.
Cool.
We do a lot of like hydraulic press upgrades where we take old relay panels, put a PLC and HMI, and make it smart. So it's kind of a full gambit of everything, but it just depends on the project. Like some projects don't even have a PLC. We got an Epson robot project at the shop right now, no PLC. We did a robot cell with UR with no PLC. So
Oh, wow.
it's kind of all over the place. When I first started it, I wanted to do what I did at Rockwell and upgrade PLCs because that's all I did when I was at Rockwell.
Yeah.
But I've only done one PLC upgrade in 2 years. So
Wow.
here we are.
Yeah, it's funny how the self-employment route will take you down a different path maybe than what you originally thought.
I never would have thought I'd be doing wanting to do and doing robotic cells just because I was so good at upgrading PLCs. Like working for Rockwell, we had customers. That's all we did: upgrade, 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 upgrade. So me coming in, I'm like, that's what I'm gonna do. And then
Cool. And let me ask you kind of mentioned it. It sounds like you do have a facility, a shop.
yeah, we have a shop in Memphis, Tennessee. So we've got like a full shop and offices. That's me, and I have one controls engineer full time. I've got a contract controls
That,
engineer in Detroit.
that was going to be my next question is how many employees do you have? So
Yeah, just me and one other guy, and then
cool.
Tim, my mechanical guy, and some controls guys.
Cool. Cool. And you kind of already mentioned it is, finding new clients. Have you found, marketing through social media? Has that helped you a lot also? Or is it just
No,
word of mouth? Is that how you're getting a lot of new business?
mostly word of mouth and previous employees. I found early on because I had that first month contract and then I ran out of work in January of 22. Um, and that was really where I was struggling to find. I could find a lot of small business, hey, go here for 2 days, go there for 4 days. Hey, can you come troubleshoot this? But I was tired of doing that. So I wanted to find my own projects. So I started just blasting LinkedIn. And if you've talked to Preston Hadley, that doesn't work. People ignore your messages. I have one really good customer that found me on LinkedIn, but
Yeah.
I didn't reach out to them. They reached out to me.
Yeah.
But mainly it's just been networking and word of mouth, like we'll do a project at a customer. Like we did a project for a customer in Middle Tennessee. And then I reached out to the project manager. I was like, hey, there's a plant like 2 hours south of me. Can you get me in contact with the plant manager? And so now we're doing 3 projects in there right now. So it's kind of just once we do a successful project, getting the word out. Because I haven't wanted to go full blown marketing yet, just because I only have one other guy and our facility is only 2,000 square feet. So it's like
Yeah.
if I go in like a project of this size, this is taking up 4,000 square feet. in one of our customers' facilities that we work with,
Wow.
and I could never fit a project like this, so that's why we haven't really had the need to do that yet.
Yeah. Interesting. And it sounds like you're kind of on the road a lot. How do you balance work-life balance, living in Memphis there and traveling on the road and being a business owner, calls don't stop, work doesn't
Yeah.
stop. How do you balance that yourself?
Well, this year I've done a very terrible job of doing that. I quoted a lot of work in January, and I didn't plan it out very well, and they all hit at the same time. So I've been just working nonstop for 6 months doing all this work. So after this project is when I'm really gonna get my project management down pat and understand that you could win all the work and you might not, and I need to plan accordingly. So I kind of I'm learning as I go, I guess is what I'll say. I have not had a good work life balance. It's just been a work balance at this point, but it's my own fault and it's due to rapid growth. So it's good problems to have, but
Yeah.
it I put too short of timelines in between projects, and so when one goes over, then I got to just go from next to next to next to next.
Right.
So that won't happen again though.
Yeah, yeah. So it sounds like you almost need a good way to balance all these potential incoming projects with timelines and
Yes,
scheduling, and
yes.
I'm sure you'll be able to figure that out. What are some of the things that you love? Because obviously these last 2 years have been probably a whirlwind for you, and especially it sounds like the last 6 months. What's it been like being a business owner?
Oh man, there's a lot of ups and downs, dude. There's days where I love it and days where I ask myself, why am I doing this to myself? But when you boil it down, it's all just self-inflicted problems. And this is kind of the cycle of running a business like this is in the beginning you're struggling for work, right? So then you want to quote everything and be a yes man. But then when you win all the work, now you're struggling to manage it. And so I did really good on my own by myself, just doing jobs here and there. Oh, I managed it great. I had no problems. I just did one project at a time. But when you win three, four projects at a time, you're managing three contractors and you're traveling like I do, it gets tough. But I'm kind of glad I grew this fast because I was able to learn these hard lessons and know that I will not make the same mistakes down the road. And the company I'm working for up here, he does a really good job of managing his projects and just doing, one after another. And so it's all a learning process. But when you talk as much as I do and network as much as I do, I should have known that I would have won this much work. But it's hard to foresee when you're hungry.
Yeah. Well, and you kind of mentioned it there. When you're talking about business goals, do you have some set goals that for this year that you've wanted to reach? How are you doing there? Have you set any 2024 goals? Have you laid anything out from that perspective? Hey, I want to win X amount of projects or bring in X amount of revenue. Have you gone through any of that stuff? And if so, how are you doing this year and or potentially for next?
Yeah, so my goal this year was to bring on one full-time engineer and win some of our own turnkey projects because we do a lot of work where they'll just contract us to do only the PLC programming or the PLC and the electrical design and the install. And so
Yeah.
my goal this year was just to win our own robotic cells or our own turnkey projects. And I wanted to do 5 this year. I think we've done 7 already. So I
Wow.
far surpassed that. And then I have an employee he's embedded at a customer 3 days a week, and then he does work at the shop the other 2 days a week. But
Yeah.
I'd say for 2024, I just want a better work life balance, and so we're gonna try to continue to do the same amount of projects, kind of the same revenue per se. But my goal for 24 is to win the same amount of work, but time it out better
Yeah.
because the problem is when you mention dates to customers in the preliminary meetings, they want to hold you to those. And so I tried to do that. And we have for the most part. It's just been at the expense of me being gone all the time. So 2024, my goals are to organize the business a little better to where we're more streamlined at the shop because
Yeah.
I won all these projects and got the shop at the same time. So I haven't really had time to set up all of our parts bins and set up our panel area and do all the necessary things
Right.
to where you're not looking for tools everywhere, not looking for parts. And so it kind of all happened at once. So 2024's goal is to get organized and space these. I hired a project manager part time. Um,
No, that's great.
and so the goal is to pass him the projects and him map them out so that when we go to customers, hey, I can't start on this till November type deal instead of, yeah, we'll start on that right away. Because it always
Right.
takes longer than you think it's going to take. But, you don't foresee the hiccups in installs until you get to the install. And when that pushes other projects, it just makes everything else suck.
Yeah.
But
Um,
we're getting there. So it's all,
yeah. So is there any major likes? I mean, obviously, you've been in this industry now for some time. You've had a bunch of different jobs. You've started a business. What are some of your major likes that you enjoy about the industry?
I enjoy the people. One thing I really like is working with other engineers that we contract who really know what they're doing and make it easy to work with. Because I've had a whole gambit of contractors that you name it, it's happened to me. And so I really enjoy working with the people who are passionate about it. Like I mentioned Tim Hayden earlier. He is the best machine designer that I've ever met, and the quality and the care that he puts into his work makes my
Yeah.
life easier because he foresees a lot of things and then we work together. So it's like he takes ownership of his portion of the projects. He's not just punching a clock and doing the minimum. And so
Yeah.
I enjoy working with people like that. I think the most because at the end of the day, it's all the same. Where whatever project you're doing at the base level, you're designing, you're programming, you're installing. And so I really enjoy the process of working with people and meeting new people wherever I'm going. But I also really like seeing a project you designed come to life. Like to see all these panels and stuff back here that we've designed going in the field for a large project is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, and I've talked with several people that do say the same thing where it's you love to see something go from nothing to something,
Yes.
whether it's, building it yourself and or coming in there doing a rehab and getting it upgraded to the latest version or doing
Yeah.
a full install, right? That's what a lot of people seem to like. And I'm with
Oh,
you as
yeah.
well. I really enjoy the camaraderie of working with people in the shop and
Yeah.
working together and building something together and then, running multiple parts through it in the beginning where it's two, three, four. And then by the end of the week, now you're running 100. And then the next
Yep.
week, you got to run 1,000. I think I just love the camaraderie
And
there of,
yeah, we did.
setting a goal and going after it.
Yes, we did a hydraulic press in Pennsylvania in March, and to see it go from concept to design to like running perfect parts off the bat was so cool. Like it was such a
Yeah.
good feeling. Like to see this brand new nice panel go in front of this nasty old 60-year-old relay panel was really cool to see. Like because like when we ran that first part, I was nervous because I had never programmed a press.
Yeah.
I'd never worked in plastics like that before, and so it came out and it was perfect. And I was like, "Holy crap, this is pretty cool because it was like the first time, that I had got to run the code once and it just worked. I mean, we had to make tweaks and stuff here and there because
Sure.
I wasn't familiar with hydraulics. Don't get me wrong, we broke the press the week before, but it was due to the hydraulics and the controls, but that's a different story. But yeah, no, it's cool, man. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much you love something, it's gonna become work, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not always going to be fun. We were in Missouri a couple weeks ago, me, my employee, and one of my buddies that I contracted who's between jobs. And, we'd work 14-hour days at this factory and then go back to the Airbnb and hang out and stuff. And it's like when you're around good people, it makes it easier.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And then before we wrap up, Brennan, where can people reach out to you? How can they get a hold of you? How can they reach out to Blue Collar Automation?
Yeah, the easiest thing would be LinkedIn. You can get my email off of there or our website, bluecollarautomation.com. There's an email and a phone number on there. And so that's pretty much the two places that I use to contact.
Okay. Okay, cool. And then we'll put a link in the description. So go down below, click the link, follow him. So if you guys enjoyed today's episode, please give us a like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe. And we hope that you join us here next time on Engineers and Automation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.